What is going on? My name is Jake, also known as Middle Age Gamer 85. Welcome to my midlife crisis, and more importantly, welcome to Second Impressions. Second Impressions is where I go through my gaming catalogue and play some older games that I haven't played for a while, stuff I'd purchased along the way across all the three major consoles that I own: the PlayStation, the Nintendo Switch, and my Xbox. So today we are going to be tackling Super Metroid, and this year also marks the 40th anniversary of the Metroid series. We're playing probably the one Metroid that it's not probably, it is definitely the one Metroid I've only played, which is Super Metroid. A little bit of a nostalgia with this because my uncle had the Super Nintendo. I'd go over to my nan's house and we just play this game. And it was one of the first games where we had voice acting, which was just compressed, chipped down, version of somebody speaking. We do a little bit of a recap of the first two games, which was Metroid on the Nintendo and Metroid 2 on the Game Boy. Now, Metroid was a very difficult game, something that I sort of had a lot of trouble with when I was a kid, but we had this utility called an action replay, where we have cheat codes in it and made it a little bit more easier. A lot of people would be like, "Oh no, cheating in games is pretty shit." Realistically, play a game the way you want. If you want to use cheat codes, if you want to use cheating devices, I feel it's fair in like platformers or anything like that. You're not doing any harm. The only time I think you're doing harm is if you're cheating in online multiplayer games and shit that you're going to benefit, something that's going to, how can I put it, put you on a higher playing field, or unfair advantage to others. Whereas a single player or anything like that, single player games, you should be able to be OP at the start. Play whatever way you want. Just fucking enjoy the games. That's the way it is, and that's the way I've always felt it. So, I'm not saying that I don't cheat in games, because, I still to this day, and not to this day, I don't, it's a lot harder to do it now, but I'd play modded game saves on the PlayStation 4, so it is what it is. If I wanted to be OP, I would be OP. But I primarily just do single player games, so I don't really do any harm. There's no harm in it. I'm not going to sit there and people are like, "Oh, you're not a gamer, you're not in this." Everybody's got opinions, so just keep them to yourself, that kind of thing. Now, a little bit of an off tangent rant. The joys of being 40, you tend to go into rants like that and give your personal opinions that nobody's ever asked for. So I can't skip this cutscene, which is a bit of a pain. But Super Metroid at the time, I thought it was amazing. Very shocked because I got the, when Samus does die, I thought the character was a male, and I was like, "Oh wow, you're playing as a female," which, when people played the original Metroid, that was the big shock at the end of that. You thought you're playing the whole game as this male bounty hunter, but instead you're playing as a female protagonist, which was pretty cool. Like, you look at the games that were sort of out at the time where you don't really have many female protagonists. This was one of the very first games where, you're playing as a girl. And yeah, it is a very enjoyable game. The whole shooter thing, going back and forth to the same places over and over again. This level here you don't really go back to, so you see that the Metroid's broken out, which was the scene at the start of the game. And you're just essentially going through. Memory serves me correct, I've got a bit of a boss battle up ahead. I find the Metroid, yes, and then I've got to try and escape. And then Ripley comes out. Now, this game was very highly inspired by the Alien movies. And this, if memory serves me correct, this is like the first game I could ever move my move around and shoot in all different directions. Alright. And it is a predetermined little cutscene where you sort of have to essentially get yourself down to 24 and then just get the fuck out of here. Now with the action replay, I know that we were able to mod the game save so that we can actually have all the power-ups at the beginning. So I do know, like, you have the fast run, you'd have the energy ball, everything like that. But yes, graphically it still holds up. I think this game looks pretty cool. Looks amazing. A lot of the Super Nintendo games have held out really well. You know. Here we are. I've got 30 seconds to get the fuck out of here, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to. Alright. And we did, we got out, so that's pretty good. Sometimes you don't make it. A lot of people, you know, like I remember as a kid, I didn't get past it. Not many of the kids at school I would speak to would actually have this game. When I did eventually get my uncle's Super Nintendo, there was a lot of games that, like, you know, I had Super Mario World, ended up getting Yoshi's Island. Never had Super Mario All-Stars, which was a bit disappointing. I'd have to borrow it from other people. Donkey Kong Country 1, Earthworm Jim 1 and 2. Had a lot of unique, weird games. Star Fox was another game that I had, and Stunt Racer FX. Really enjoyed that. So, yes. So now we are on the main planet where it needs to be. As you can see, apart from the thing at the beginning, no real cutscenes or anything like that, and then you've got this planet to sort of free roam and go wherever you wish. You are locked out by not having power-ups at certain places, so, you know, you'll be able to roll into the ball down there and get into the new areas. Sort of does, like the Metroid games were trend-setting and trailblazers in regards to stuff that you, like your Hollow Knights and all that stuff, do now. You know, you sit there and you're like, wow, this is, you know, you look at it and go, cool, I've got to go back there. I've got to unlock the missiles to get through that pink door, you know. A lot of the whole backtracking thing through games, you know, it's something that started with the Metroid games, which was very different and unique at the time. I feel that the big three Nintendo games that came out, which had their own unique genre, like, you know, their whole new unique gimmicks, was you had Mario, which was a platformer. You had Metroid, which was, you know, something that you'd go back to, like, you know, you have to explore and all that kind of stuff. And then you had your Legend of Zelda, which was an overhead, you know, adventure game. So those three big games, like, a lot of things spawn off from, in my own personal opinion. Obviously 2D fighter games are something totally different. But at the crux of it, you know, a lot of games are inspired by, you know, three that are there. Well, that's my own personal opinion, so I don't want to get flamed for that. But yeah. But with that being said, like this game here, if you have the Nintendo Switch Super Nintendo library, give it a crack. It is a really cool game. So, and I've got the morphing ball now, so that's that is cool. But I don't have the bomb. But I can shoot my way out. So yeah, having the morphing ball, that means I can, you know, turn myself into a butchie boy, as we used to call him as a kid, and yeah, go and have some fun. But yes, a lot of backtracking and all that kind of stuff. My girlfriend Lisa, she made a comment that, like, you know, she was playing Hollow Knights and Ori and the Wisps and all that kind of stuff, and she's like, oh, you know, I need a new game. And I did tell her, I go, why don't you give Super Metroid a go? It's an older game, but it kind of, you know, was the start of all this, where you sort of have to figure out where you're going and look at, you know, look at it, go, oh, I've got this power up, I can get through there and all that kind of stuff. You know, at the time we didn't have the internet, so in order for you to figure out where you were going at times, it was either trial and error, or if you had like a Nintendo Power magazine or a game guide or something like that, that's how you got through it. So, which was where a lot of bullshit started with video games. Like I remember as a kid, you'd go and you know, you'd sit there and like Mortal Kombat was the one that had the biggest amount of bullshitters, because people would be like, oh yeah, my uncle works at Nintendo, and you know, Ryu from Street Fighter is going to be in Mortal Kombat, and then like, you know, you get there and like the next Mortal Kombat 3 comes out and you see this kid and oh no, you know, that's what my uncle told me. Like, fuck off, you don't know shit. Whereas nowadays a lot more people get called out on the bullshit, like, you know, hey, you're fucking lying. So yeah. But oh, here we are. See if I can switch this up. No, what was it? That's it. Cool. Alright, so that actually did not work. But with that being said, this is where I'll call the video. Didn't really do much, just my honest opinion about this game. Probably rambled on about other things a bit too much, but that's the joys of me doing this. Essentially, it's just me talking shit while I play a game. But I would recommend, if you are going to play a Metroid game, some people will sit there and say you should start with Metroid 1 or Metroid 2. Realistically, I know I find original Nintendo games are really hard to play, because not because of the difficulty, it's just the way they look. I'm gonna be picky, I reckon they look like shit. So yeah, if you do get a chance to play a Metroid game, start with Super Metroid. I'd highly recommend it. And with that being said, I appreciate you swinging by the channel, watching this video. You know, feel free to leave a like, leave a comment, and you know, share. Also, if you get a chance, check out my Twitch channel. I am on at Middle Age Gamer 85 on Twitch, where I will be streaming current new games. And yeah, just having an alright time. So I appreciate you swinging by, popping by, and remember, a winner is you.